6 years, 2 RVs, 3 trucks, and more broken things than we can count.
If you think RV life is all sunsets and s'mores, just wait.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, back in 2019, we started with a 2020 Keystone Bullet 22 RBS. It was small.
Yes, it was.
And that was what we were going to live in full time. And then, on our very, very first contract, literally the day after we got there in Tulsa, it got cold. We arrived there on Halloween and we turned the heat on and we got no heat. Now, I wasn't schooled in any of this yet.
We neither one had even traveled and stayed in an RV. I had stayed in a small camper with my parents and grandparents when I was a child once.
And I mean, I hadn't been in a camper prior to actually going to look at the camper that we ended up buying. So I started looking around for mobile RV techs. Found one. To this day, probably the best one we've ever used.
Yeah.
He came out and he immediately, like seconds upon walking into the RV, said, "Oh yeah, it's your cell switch."
And thus begins the sale switch saga. Say that 5 times fast.
Oh, no, I'd rather not.
The sale switch saga of our whole entire RV life.
Through the years, between that RV, after he replaced that sale switch, I never had to have anybody come and replace the sale switch for me again.
Because he did it, not because we didn't need another one.
Right.
Because he did it.
We ended up doing 3 sale switches in that RV. We've now done 3 cell switches in this RV.
So if you're out there in quality in RV land, how about you figure out the cell switch problem?
That would be really nice. Couple of contracts later, Cindy and I pulled into Smyrna, Tennessee.
In the snow, sliding on the ice.
With a flat on my truck. Again, the day after we got there, I had to go to the bathroom. So I did. And I went to flush the toilet. And the pedal just fell right off.
We learned something new that day. You can't replace the pedal on the RV toilet.
On that one, anyway. I'm not really sure about the one we have now.
Let's not find out.
That was the plastic toilet that came with that RV. So, I did not call an RV tech. We went to Camping World and we bought a new toilet.
And it really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be to replace. But it's beyond my comprehension. Now, he's worked in manufacturing 40 years. I have not. But I don't comprehend why you can't change a foot pedal on a toilet. You got to replace the whole toilet. That's crazy talk to me.
Yeah, but it turned out being better anyway because that plastic toilet was crap. See what I did there? But we didn't mention the other problem that occurred that was a multiple time problem. When we were going to the bathroom, on occasion, seeing water come out from under our vanity. Couldn't find the leak. And I mean, I got underneath that vanity, which was quite the trick, especially for somebody as fat as me, and got under there with a flashlight, and I couldn't find the leak. I could find things that were wet, but it was not where the leak was coming from.
At one point, we thought the shower was somehow leaking underneath there.
So I got under the shower pan, and it was dry as a bone. And then we realized that I realized that it was not coming from the pipes. It wasn't coming from the faucet. It was coming from the vacuum breaker switch.
Who knew?
Which is tasked with making sure that when you're rinsing your black tank, none of that water gets into your fresh water. So the only time we would see water coming out from under the vanity would be when I was doing the black tank and flushing it. I replaced that. Easy fix, honestly. And then I replaced it again about a year later. And I've not yet had to replace one on this RV.
No.
Knock wood, yes. And I don't even know if that's really wood, but...
At least we know what to look for.
The other problem was the low quality faucet that was in the bathroom, which we had to have replaced when we were in Las Cruces. I had not gained confidence yet about doing work on this RV. That was our second contract.
Yeah.
We'd been in the RV for, 4 months at that point?
Yeah.
So I had somebody come in. He walked up to the bathroom sink, looked down, went, "Oh, you have one of these old plastic pieces of crap."
There's a lot of crap in that bathroom.
Yeah. I can tell you where your problem's coming from. He removed it, shut the water off, removed it, and underneath there was, I guess, a valve or a directional thing that sent the water to both sides of the faucet, the hot and the cold. That was made of the world's cheapest plastic. Okay, I mean, it was garbage, and it was cracked.
Ah.
So, put in a new faucet, a home faucet, and the problem went away. So let's go forward a little bit. So, now we moved into this RV.
And though there are a lot of advantages to this RV, I love it way better. The space is so much better. It's not the biggest RV there is, but it was so much bigger than the one we had. We have a door on the bedroom, so if you want to go in there and be alone, or if you need to put a cat somewhere so they don't get out, you can shut the door. And just the storage is better. Everything like that is better. But because it's an RV, there's still going to be problems. Things are still going to break.
And our first big problem was not too long after we brought it home. And we took it to the RV park that we were staying at the time, in Fort Mill, South Carolina. And it got a little warm. We were getting ready to leave there. Mm-hmm. And it got a little warm. And I was like, let's open these windows, man. And I opened the window, and it exploded. Literally this far from the front of my face.
And the fact that he's even partially smiling talking about this means that we've come a long way emotionally about this window.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's been 4 years now since that happened.
It took us, that was traumatic.
Yeah. And not only did the window explode, the glass ended up destroying my computer at the time, and it was literally everywhere.
In fact, we were still finding glass a couple of years later when we replaced the dinette and put this table in instead. There was still a pile of glass underneath in every crack and crevice because it shattered. It was like if you shattered your windshield. It was little teeny tiny pieces of glass.
And it was obviously safety glass. I can still consider myself lucky that I didn't get any of that in my eye. Long story short.
Very long story.
It took 3 tries to get the right window.
Installed correctly.
And to figure out why the other windows that we just bought were exploding also.
We'd get it in, which was no easy task. We would get the bad window out, put the good window in after paying many hundreds of dollars for it.
Yeah.
Go to open it, explode.
And so we're now on the 3rd window that we're going to be putting in. And I said, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupid. I can't figure this out. I ended up calling a local RV tech. At this point, we're in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And he comes out, and he's an old timer. And he's actually semi-retired. But he came out to help me out with this. And I'm going to give myself credit where credit is due. I'm the one that figured this out. We had the window out. We had the new window sitting there, getting ready to be put in. And I looked down at the old window, and I realized that the bottom track was bent up like that. I mean, that's a little bit of exaggeration, but it was a very mild bend into the middle. And then I looked at the frame, and I realized they hadn't screwed the window in properly at the bottom. When the two of us put it in, we put the window in, held down the bottom, screwed it in, made sure everything was straight, and we proceeded to not open that window for 2 years.
Oh yeah, we didn't touch it.
We didn't. We wouldn't open it.
He would say, well, what do you think about opening this window? No, we're not going down that road again. The baseline problem was it had been installed wrong at the factory, and when we replaced it each of those 3 times, we were replacing it exactly as it came out. We kind of thought they knew what they were doing.
Going back into the screw holes that were already there and existed. Now, a little side story on that. When we came back to Tucson after Rio Rancho, there was a guy who had the exact same rig as us, about 5-6 spaces down from us. And one time I caught him outside, and because I had looked at the same window on his rig, and that window was covered with plastic. And I said, "Did that window blow up on you?" He literally relayed the exact same story that we'd gone through.
So this was a manufacturer problem.
Right.
If you are not a full-time RVer, you could probably find something like this. Your window pops out. If you're a weekend warrior and you do just, vacation trips or something in your RV, you have the luxury of taking this RV back to the dealership and leaving it as long as they need to fix it. We don't have that luxury. We live here. So we can't just be without our home we all know how fun those warranty things are and how long they take, indefinite amounts of time. And I'm on a contract at a hospital. We can't do it. We can't be without it and afford being able to be in another. I don't think I can see Camping World paying for us to stay somewhere else.
No.
So we had to
Keystone.
All of these repairs, we kind of have to figure out ourselves and get someone to fix it or fix it ourselves.
Which is why we say all the time, learn how to fix stuff in your RV.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be put in that situation. A lot of the trim in this is basically falling off the wall. Most of this was put in with glue.
It's cosmetic things that the little trim, like where there's a seam or where there's an edge, and they have a little strip of matching trim that goes on it. I'd be sitting here watching TV and go, has that been hanging like that? Or am I just noticing it?
And more times than not, no, it hasn't been hanging like that. That just happened.
There's actually a piece behind Felix's head right now that needs to be fixed in the corner.
And I've got a close-up picture of that. But just recently, in Hatch, New Mexico, and we did a video about when we went to Hatch. Cindy went to open the slide, put the slide out. That's one of her duties when we're setting up. And tell them what you heard, honey.
I can't really describe it. It was a horrible scraping, breaking kind of, that's not a normal noise. I've put these slides in and out many times. So I stopped, came around, trying to figure out where it was coming from, and right up at the edge of this slide was a piece of wood sticking out.
Right at the end.
And it was And there are mechanisms moving in there to pull the slide out, so it was getting tangled up in all of that.
That turned out to be a piece of trim from up there that had snapped in half and was laying
On top of the slide.
on top of the slide mechanism.
At first, we thought it was a piece that belonged back there but had slid down. So Felix pushed it back. When we went to leave, I was putting the slide in, and we have everything on this wall set up that we know what will pass by and what we need to take down. We had taken everything down. I hear a crashing noise. I go and look, and a picture that this slide normally goes by was crumbled. The frame was in the floor.
It was crushed.
And somehow that piece had slid back out. And when I went to put the slide back in, it just raked that framed picture completely off the wall. Another thing that had to be replaced.
So I went up there, got up on Cindy's step stool, and took a look in and realized that it was what I thought was maybe a piece that big or so. No. It was literally half the length of this slide. So it was about a 4 foot, maybe 5 foot piece of molding
that had come from what should have been between where the slide meets the ceiling, our crown molding, if you will.
And I'll show you a picture of what's still up there. But I reached in and managed to wiggle it and got it out, threw it in the dumpster at Hatch, and haven't had a problem since. Now, you know, a lot of people will say that propane monitors are supposed to be good for 5 to 7 years. This is a blatant, bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
We have had to replace more propane monitors than cell switches. We did 3, I want to say, in the first rig, and we are up to 3 in this rig.
And they just fail. They stop working.
Just out of nowhere. And I can assure you, I have done the measurements. There is no propane leak anywhere. They're garbage. Plain and simple.
Hey, if you know of a good quality one, let us know about it.
Yeah, let us drop a comment. Now, in that same vein, and this was actually a recall by Keystone, the propane regulator on the tanks. Apparently the bodies were subject to cracking, and ours did. And I almost killed everybody. I didn't know. I went outside, I smelled this really bizarre smell. I thought it was either our black tank or somebody else's black tank, maybe leaking or something. And I didn't get halfway around the rig with a cigarette hanging out of my hand before I heard the hiss of the propane regulator. It was in the process of emptying one of our tanks. Needless to say, I recovered and we're not dead or burned. And I replaced the propane regulator. And we haven't had a problem since. Now to get to our most recent problems.
It never ends. I promise you we could do this video today and hopefully not tomorrow. We're still dealing with one. So
This first one I'm going to mention is my fault. 100% my fault. I know that the water here at Cactus Country is hard. Very mineral laden and very hard. And the last time we were here, before this time, before we went to Colorado, I ran the water in here without a filter. Dumb move. Really. And that's not even being funny. That's just, it was stupid. And what I ended up doing was calcifying the entirety of our plumbing. By the time we got to Pueblo, the water, the cold water, was a trickle. And I couldn't figure out why. I ended up replacing the faucet. We ended up having an RV tech come out. We ended up doing a lot of things.
put a filter, the RV tech put a gasket with a filter on those pipes so that whatever was in those lines, because we had found there was little stuff that had clogged up that previous faucet, and it looked like sand, it was kind of puzzling to start with, but he put
It looked like sand, and there was also some algae mixed in there.
So
initially,
he put a filter on that line so that if the water slowed down, Felix could just take that off, empty that, clean that filter, and we would have water pressure for a while.
well, that ended up not being sufficient. We ended up having to replace the faucet again because it got up into the faucet body, and you can't disassemble those to get it clean. We were able to purchase this product, and I've got it on screen here, that we pumped it into our freshwater tank, turned on the water pump, which is something I've replaced, by the way. It cleaned everything out. We have recovered from the great trickle disaster.
No more calcification.
Yeah.
It's been great.
And it took twice. I had to do it again because for some reason the kitchen sink was fine, but the toilet, we're back to the toilet, was flushing at a trickle. But as soon as I did it again, cleared it right out. We haven't had a problem since.
If you want the details on how we specifically did that, give us a question in the comments and we can give you more details about that.
And then I noticed, actually, my neighbor noticed that we had quite the leak at our city water connection into the rig.
Which is on the other side of where we go in and out, so it wasn't something we would see on a regular basis.
Yeah, it wasn't something I saw all the time. So I went there and investigated that, and I found out that there was a pinhole. And you can see the picture of it where the water is actually coming out of that pinhole in that. And I had to replace that piece. No big deal.
Unscrew it. Screw it in.
And screw in the new piece. Well, first of all, try to find that piece. You're not going to. Second of all, I went out there. I was going to replace it in a different way, which you can see the picture of how I ended up replacing it. And I went to unscrew the existing piece, which resulted in this.
It broke.
It literally, it basically came apart in my hand. It was so brittle, so dried, that it had no life left to it. I remained flexible.
Unlike this, he remained flexible.
Yeah. And I went to Home Depot, which opened maybe a year ago here, right down the road. And I ended up getting, they didn't have, what I was looking for was this piece. They didn't have this in plastic. And I'm probably very glad that they didn't have it in plastic. I ended up buying that piece, but in brass. I had to take the entirety of the water, the panel out, the water station out, get behind it, take that out, put in the brass piece.
I was at work, or you'd have video about all this.
Yeah. And it was actually, it turned out to be a fairly easy replacement. But when this happened, I didn't think it was going to be. I have to be honest, this went sailing halfway across the RV park. I had to go retrieve it so I could have it for this video.
I didn't know about that part.
Yeah. We got it replaced. We got it fixed. Our water issues are, for the time being anyway, solved. And then our new big disaster.
Ongoing, not yet resolved.
No, our refrigerator. I went up there to get my breakfast sausage one morning for breakfast. It wasn't frozen. So to avoid making this already long video very much longer, as it turns out, the refrigerator is functioning quite nicely. As a matter of fact, too nicely. It's almost functioning as a freezer. The freezer is not even functioning as a refrigerator. It is sitting at about 45 degrees. And little fun tip. Norcold has gone out of business.
The refrigerator company that makes a refrigerator to fit right in this spot.
Gone. As November 3rd, as a matter of fact.
Just in time for us.
Yeah. They filed for bankruptcy and stated that they would be liquidating all of their assets.
We should be getting a better price on this thing.
Yeah. However, we were able to Find this refrigerator on Amazon. New, not used, none of that. But according to Amazon, they only had 4 left, and it's costing us a little over $1,500.
This is not a residential.
No.
This is an RV product.
Yes. Now, could we have gone to a residential? Probably. But I didn't want to have to get back there and have to rewire the entirety of this thing so that I could have 120 volt where there is currently only 12 volt. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But we've gotten the exact same refrigerator. I mean, it has lasted us 4 years.
Yeah. And I'm quite sure that RV refrigerators initially aren't meant to be running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 years. They're normally meant for weekend use or 2-week vacations or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that is going to be arriving in a couple of days. In the meantime, we're a little bit scrambling to keep our food cold.
We're not buying mini groceries. We're
No.
like getting stuff that we're going to use right this minute.
Yeah. And we will have a video entirely showing the installation of this. She's not working until Sunday. I kind of need her here. We kind of need to have each other here so that we can get this thing in the door and put in place and get this one out the door.
And in the dumpster. It only weighs a little over 100 pounds.
130 pounds.
So, I mean, we can handle that. It's just a matter of getting this out through the door to the dumpster and getting the other one back in.
And I don't think I can handle it by myself.
Plus, we want to video it for you, so we need extra hands for that.
Want to have the entirety of this thing. You know, I've looked on YouTube and there is no one who has recorded the entirety of their removal and installation. That I could find anyway.
We're going to be popular.
Yeah. But those have been our trials and tribulations.
Thanks for sticking to the end of that long
tirade.
Multi-saga thing.
Like I said in the beginning, 2 RVs, 3 trucks, and a whole bunch of problems. Until next time, I'm Felix.
And I'm Cindy.
We are the roaming Gomes. Safe travels.